Do you want your centre-back scoring 30+ goals a season? Do you want your free kick taker scoring Ronaldo free kicks? If you do, this is going to be the video for you. Be sure to leave a like, as today we are going to go through the ultimate and the best set-piece guide for Football Manager 2024. Before we get into it, I'm going to show you actually what it looks like in the game, because you can get a rough understanding for it, and then we'll actually watch some highlights, and you can see, do I want to download this? But trust me, I think you're going to want it, because it's a little bit broken. So we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go through absolutely everything. I do want to say this is going to be downloadable via the Patreon, so if you want to save yourself a ton of time, you can go over there and get it exclusively. And if you do that, you download it, put it in your set piece folder, click this button here, and go to load all routines, and it will put everything in one click of the button. That is one time-saving method, I'll tell you that. But I'm going to include it in a video, because we're not about this sort of, you have to pay to win sort of vibe. We are going to go through everything on today's video, starting off with corners, starting off on the defense scenario. So this right here is going to be very focused around zonally marking. It's something I've done in Football Manager for years, and to be honest, for me, it's the only way you should really be defending. So what we're going to do is, so this video isn't 90 minutes long, we are simply going to go through a rough understanding of what players you should have in those positions, and obviously you can see here what we've got on our screen. So we'll go through in the box. So we've got our A1 selected to zonally mark the 6-yard box near post, we've got A2 at the far post, we've got A3 in the centre. This is a good option because you've got someone covering a near post, which in our case, of course, is going to be Van Dijk. So again, coming over to the players you should be using, you want someone big on that near post, because obviously a lot of teams do target it. So someone like Van Dijk, who by the way is an absolute unit at set pieces, is going to be a perfect example of this. Now in terms of the far post, so that is going to be A2 for us, we have gone with Kanate. Again, you need a big centre back there because he is going to get the job done, and again, he's not really going to get out jumped too much. So I will say near post and far post, make sure you have got big units, your centre backs there, because they are going to be needed, and a lot of teams do try and exploit those areas. A2, we've got to obviously zonally mark the far post as well. Now, A4 we've got to player mark, A5 player mark, and A6 have actually changed, and I've got him to mark the far post as well, because sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes, the ball will come in and almost miss A2, but go really backstick into A6, and sometimes I've conceded a goal, proper backstick, and I mean proper backstick, so I have someone there now to simply eliminate that. Now, in terms of the counter-attacks, for example, we've got one player on the edge of the area. For me, I've gone with somebody like Sabosloy. Now, you can have someone, of a quick ability, someone quite quick, if you go more direct, but I like someone like a Sabosloy, like a midfield player, because he can pick up the ball, not necessarily run with it. He'll pick it up, have it at his feet, wait for runners, and it's a bit more of a better option than having someone just picks up the ball, tries to take on the whole team, and they're away, if that makes sense. So try and have a creative player on the edge with the ball. Now, in terms of the trackers, we've gone with all of them on player mark. Again, very good to be quite tight to your men in the box, because set pieces on this game can be very good, not only for you, but against you, unfortunately. So I would say have that selected as well. Now, of course, going over to the attacking, we're going to go through different types. We're going to start with the in-swinger. So again, make sure you've simply got your best set piece taker. It's pretty common sense, but a lot of people don't even look at this stuff. Make sure you've got that on. We're going to be aiming for the near post, because I will say this, it's absolutely nuts on this game to do that. Obviously quite common sense again, but attacking the near post, have your big centre backs. I'm not going to say this every single time because it's pretty common sense. You want your big good headed players obviously attacking the ball. So we've got an option near post, an option far post, because again that gives you two very, very good options. Also very important, especially against teams with weaker goalkeepers, have a player mark on the goalkeeper. Make them pressured. It puts a lot of pressure on them, and keepers do make mistakes, especially in this match engine. And also we've got an option lurking at the far post, just in case the ball goes past the far post option, and we've got a player there to sort of pick up the scraps. The box threats, we've got B1 going to go forwards, which means he's going to be in that box. If he gets the chance, he's going to go forward and try and get the ball. Creators, now I always like having a short option because it doesn't usually get played to that often, but if we do need to use him, we've got someone literally a very simple pass away. Then this individual here can either play it across, he can play it back if he wanted to, if you're trying to time waste, for example, or if you've got a good player on the ball, which we have in Sabosloy, he can simply put a ball into the box, and all these players are still going to be there, so it's good to have that option there. Lurk outside is going to be set to C2. Again, like I said before, if it goes to C1, play it into here, he can have a shot on the edge, or if the ball goes in, it gets cleared but not cleared well enough. C2 can come in and obviously have a crack at goal. And of course, very important, you've got people staying back, which in our case is going to be the likes of Robertson and of course the likes of McAllister. So make sure you've got two decent people back. Now for me, obviously, ideally I would recommend having someone a bit more better than McAllister defensively coming back. But to be fair, he has got 14 tackling, so that is probably why he's been assigned there. For me, obviously, I've got the likes of Trent, so he can't be back because it'd be a robbery not putting him on the set pieces. So just make sure you've got a nice balanced sort of layout like this and you'll be completely fine. Now in terms of the outswingers, of course it is going to be, it's literally going to be exactly the same, just it is going to be an outswinging option. Still aiming for the near post, and what I will say is you can change this as much as you want to, but I would really back the near post. Now there are other good options. For example, like I know last year I did use sort of like the edge of the area quite a lot because I had very good plays in my personal save with good long shots, good finishing stats, but genuinely near post you can't really go wrong, so I wouldn't change it. Simply keep it as that. So now over to free kicks, and we are going to start things off with the shooting range. Now of course this, however many goals you score from this is down to how good your set piece taker is, because it depends if you want them to actually have a crack at goal, example, and sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but it's very important you've got options for if they don't want to have a shot at goal. Very important, which is what we have got. So box threats, we have got B1 going in, go forwards, and B2 going in, also go forward, sort of at the back stick area. Very important for two reasons. One, if he plays the ball in there and it comes off a defender, he can go in, go forwards, try and get the rebound, or more importantly, if the goalkeeper makes a save from a direct hit from a free kick, we've got two players who are going to go forwards, run in the box, and get the job done. For me personally, not everyone likes to do this. I always like having someone standing with the taker. So in our case, it's going to be C1, which is going to be Sabosoli, because we can go short to him and he can easily have a crack from the edge of the box and potentially get it on target, or even better, go inside. You never absolutely know. C2, we're going to have to lurk outside the area on the near side. Basically another short-term option. Very, very good to have. Recovery defenders, we are going to have one on lurk outside area on the far side, and D2 is going to be set to stay back if needed. Now it is very important because we have got these players back here, which obviously is going to be your Endo and of course your Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now I will say in this scenario, it's very important you've got two back at minimum, but also make sure you've got at least one who is going to stay back if needed, because you can be prone to being caught on the counter-attack. So having two guarantee back is a must, but in my opinion, another must is having at least one who is going to get back, if not two, which I've got, obviously, in D2 and D3. I'm probably a little bit negative from set pieces, but I do score a lot from them, so for me, I wouldn't change a thing. Defending shoot and range free kicks is a little bit different, so we are going to have right off the bat 3 players forming the wall and 1 more if needed. That is more than enough to perform a very, very good wall. Very rarely do I, fully focus too much on the wall. It's all about, obviously, what's going on in the box for me personally, and that is going to be defending. We're going to have 3 people play a marking. We're going to have 2 trackers also play a marking. Just be very tight to your players. Don't let any space, don't let any balls go in behind, and also it's very good having players marked, because then it's going to be harder for them to obviously pick up any loose rebounds. Now, in terms of if not needed, so C5, the player up here, we've actually got Jota, which is going to be our striker. Now, I like having him in the centre because it means if you're not afraid to do it and you're a little bit more direct, if we win the ball back anyone here, we can go right through the middle, play it over the top, and he's going to be in behind. But of course, he also is going to be on form wall if needed. So if we do need another man in the wall, he won't even be up there. So good to have the options there. I wouldn't advise having too many people outside of the box, for example, because set pieces are very effective with the AI as well. So make sure you've got a similar setup to this and you'll be golden. For attacking free kicks on the wide option, I will say the in-swinger and the outswinger have got the same exact setup. So obviously, I'm going to run you through one. It's quite obvious what we're going to be doing here, though. We're going to have Big Kanate here, Big Van Dijk here, sorry, and nearly got them mixed up. And obviously, we are going to have Kanate at one of the back options here. So very important, you've got one player attacking the near post. You're going to have one player here going further forwards, and another one going forwards, and one at the far post. Now, I personally have gone for mixed. I don't always go for the near post, because if you can see here, that is roughly where it's going to get played into. Now, this sometimes lands to A1, but also it lands in a perfect position here for A3 and A2 to run onto it. And if it does get overhit, you've got A4 back stick to obviously pick up the scrap. So having it as mixed is actually a really good option. Very versatile and not too focused on one thing. Again, I've got someone standing with the kick, for the free kick taker. I've got someone on the near sort of edge of the box, because because, again, a very simple pass to play to C2. He can either take a touch, hit it himself, or take a touch, play it to D3, or take a touch, play it to A1. So many options, endless options, and very important, you've got that in your team. Recovery defenders, I've got D1 on stay back, D2 on stay back, so for me, that is going to be Robertson, and that is going to be Dominic Szoboszlai, and D3, stay back if needed. Again, I would also always say have 2 back, and 1 who's obviously got to come back if needed. The rest of them, go attacking, go bold, score your free kicks. Now, defensively, we are going to set up very, very well on this one. We are going to go quite balanced, to be fair, literally balanced in the defensive line. I did deploy a high defensive line, and I didn't really like it. I was conceding a lot of goals, which I thought were offside, but obviously they weren't, as they were being given. So we've gone with go back, go back, go back, and go back with aerial defenders. Just keep it very, very basic here, and this means that they are going to be quite deep towards the goal, to be honest. Not officially deep, as in this, but they are going to be quite close to the goal, and usually when you've got them so close together, not too many people can even win the headers because there's so many bodies in the box. Trackers is going to go down to go back, and go back as well. Again, these players, you got 1 here, you got 1 here, and you got 1 here. So if they are needed to go back, and obviously when the ball comes in, they're going to float back as well, meaning we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players obviously back in that box to compete for headers, compete for passes, and just throw their bodies on the line, which is really effective. Blockers we are going to have on form wall, again, very important. And C2 just a little bit ahead of him on form wall if needed. Now, usually I only have a 1-person wall, so C2 is sort of just there. But of course, if we do need a 2-person wall, he's going to be the man for the job. Now, D1, again, is going to be going through the centre, but if he is needed to form the wall, he will also come back. But very rarely do I see that in the highlights where we've got a 3-man wall. Usually D1 honestly is usually around about here, ready to pick up and receive the ball. In this case, it is going to be Szoboszlai again. He can pick up the ball, wait for the team to sort of get back to where they should be. You know, wing-backs get in place, wingers get in place, and he can hold on to the ball, play it out to the left, play it out to the right. He's not there to literally get the ball and run in a straight line, because that then can counter. You basically can get countered from your counter, if that makes any sense. I like to have a midfielder in that option, because he can get the ball, hold on to it, play it about very calmly, and we're back in control. Now, free kicks deep, attacking-wise, we are going to go with aim for the best header. Obviously, quite common sense, because usually with these, you don't score too many anyway, but I like to have the best header being aimed for, because not only is it best for him for scoring a goal, but also to get the knockdowns. You just want someone who can get a knockdown and obviously feed these players here. So A1, we're going to have attack far post, A2 attack near post, A3 attack near post, and A4 attack far post. Now, I want to focus on A2 and A3, because usually what happens is a flick on does happen. It will either come and it will go directly to the side or to the edge of the box, which is why we have got C1 lurking on the edge, and we've got C2 lurking on the far side as well, because a lot of balls do get put just a little bit out of the box and they're there to recycle it. And of course, to stay back, we are going to have D2 and D3, and D1 is going to stay back if needed. If not, he is also going to be in the box. So the main aim, the main sort of concept of this is not necessarily to score directly from it in terms of a ball in from the free kick taker to Van Dijk, but it is to get the knockdowns and obviously then work what we've got. It is a little bit scrappy, but the amount of goals you get from these sort of areas are actually quite impressive. With these set pieces, I was getting roughly about 5 to 6 of these sort of scrappy goals per season, and if they come up at the right time, they can change a game. Now, to defend it, again, I've gone with that balance line, not deeper, not higher, and a lot of players, the aerial defenders, are going to be set to go back, very similar to the previous example I show you. Trackers also set to go back, meaning we're going to have a real big amount of players in that box to defend it out, and I don't mind doing that because we have got an outlet. Obviously, A7 is going to be on the edge of the box, but mainly for when we're defending deep, I want everyone quite back towards the goal, because I just want to be secure. And when we win the ball, we've got so many players around us, it's quite easy to keep possession anyway. So it's not always an issue if you haven't got anyone ready to counter-attack, because if you're playing in quite a calm system, so I set this up, for example, in my Liverpool save, where we are playing quite a tiki-taka style, so I'm not in an urgent rush to get the ball moving. So playing like this actually works really well. Now, throw-ins coming in the defensive third, we are going to go with aerial defenders. We are going to have one obviously marking the near post in case they try anything crazy. We're going to have one marking the far post purely just in case they get a flick on and it goes back to that far post. We're going to have 3 players on go back. Again, we need players in the box defending. Trackers, all of them are going to be on go back as well, which basically means that it's going to be impossible for them to score against us. And usually what happens is they end up trying to get the ball in, and we've got so many people back, they absolutely have no threat at all, because we've got endless options to defend it. They can't go to the near post, they can't go to the far post, and getting the ball into the box is going to be useless, because although there might look like there's a bit of a gap here, if as soon as that ball comes in, majority of these players are going to rapidly go back and win the headers. Attacking wise, obviously throw-ins, defensive third, we are going to go with the retained possession. A little bit gut on these are the only options we've got. You can't really customize it anymore. Third, obviously attack, that's all you can do. We are going to go with retained possession. The only reason I don't usually like work the line is because there's a lot of mistakes which happen in the match engine, so retaining possession is just a safe way, and I'd rather do that and guarantee sort of the build-up than taking a gamble. I guess if you're really desperate for a goal, you can go with work the line, but there is the argument to be made that retaining the possession is still going to be the better option because you might get a highlight after that instead of just trying to force it. And of course, lastly, we can't defend in it either. Just the attack is going to be work ball into the box instead of the long throw, because to be honest, if the team's set up like we do, you can't score from long throws anyway. So I'd much would rather play it short, work the ball into the box, etc, etc. But that is going to be all of my set pieces. Again, you can go over and get them from the Patreon in one simple download. We're going to watch some highlights now. It will mainly be obviously corners. I want to sort of point out what Van Dijk done well, what Konate done well. We'll go through some highlights. Let's get into it. So this is a good example of why you should retain possession when it comes to the throw-in. So Robertson has a throw-in now. As you can see, he plays it into Jones, gets the ball back, and I want you to watch Trent here. This is what he does very, very well. So much space right now. Back into Jones, one simple pass, and as you can imagine, it is Trent we're on about. He sticks it in to the bottom left-hand corner, and now this next example is going to be a set piece. So Van Dijk, you can see here, is actually quite deep. He is going to be attacking the near post, and by the time the ball has left the ground, he already is going to be in a nice gap here, where it's going to land perfectly. He's out-jumping the likes, I can't even click on him, but he's going to out-jump these two, and there's no option but to let the goal go in for the keeper. Not the strongest team, but it is going to be against Sheffield, 7-1 away from home, by the way, and as you can imagine, we had a field day with set pieces. Funny enough, it is actually going to be Virgil van Dijk, who actually got a hat-trick of headers this game. You're going to see two of them back-to-back, actually, from either side, from Trent and from Robertson. Honestly, it is Van Dijk we're talking about, but that is absolutely nuts. And his last goal comes in the 82nd minute. Trent again, the same side, and he goes sort of more centrally there, but he does get the header. These are going to be my set pieces so far this year. Of course, if I do update them, I will post an up-to-date video as well. If this video gets 80 likes, I will drop a training schedule as well. That has also been highly requested. If you have enjoyed today, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Again, you can download them officially off the Patreon. If not, you can simply copy the video, which is why I have posted it and not just done it as a Patreon exclusive. Before I see them comments, you can go over and obviously check it out. But be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.